In June 2004, Kobe Bryant took 113 shots across 5 finals games, shot 38%, and blamed no one but himself. What followed was not recovery, it was demolition. He tore apart who he was and rebuilt something colder, darker, and psychologically unrecognizable. Most people never learn what that kind of transformation actually costs. But it reveals exactly why winners think in ways the rest of us never will. A 22-point average on 38% shooting is a disappointing series for any superstar. For Kobe, it was an existential indictment. Every one of those 113 attempts that clanged off the rim in Detroit dismantled a championship and shattered his illusion of control. When the final buzzer sounded, he did not shield himself behind excuses. He did not point to injuries, teammates, or coaching. Instead, he publicly claimed the entire disaster as his own. This public self-condemnation was a calculated choice. He chose to let the weight of a franchise's collapse crush his ego, exposing himself to the raw hostility of millions. To an ordinary person, this level of self-blame is toxic. To the elite, public humiliation is a cold necessity. The wound was deep, self-inflicted, and entirely deliberate. Before a new mind can be engineered, the old self must be systematically destroyed. It leaves us with a stark, unresolved problem. What happens when the pain of losing becomes so intolerable that you are willing to destroy who you are to ensure it never happens again? Instead of recovery, the response to failure became a clinical ritual. Long before dawn, the work was already underway. Every morning began at 4, turning the quiet gym into a laboratory of self-inflicted pressure. On one of those mornings, strength coach Alan Stein arrived at the facility at 3:30. He expected a dark, empty arena. Instead, the building echoed with the rhythmic squeak of sneakers and the sharp bounce of a basketball. Kobe Bryant was already on the court, drenched in sweat, working in total isolation. For the next 2 hours, there were no complex plays, no spectacular dunks, and no audience. Bryant performed basic elementary drills. He practiced simple footwork, defensive slides, and mid-range jump shots, repeating each micro-movement with absolute precision. It was deliberate practice stripped of all glamour. When Stein later asked why the most skilled player in the world spent hours on the absolute basics, the response was cold. "Now you know why I'm the best basketball player on the planet." This level of training bypasses ordinary willpower. Willpower is fragile, prone to fatigue under pressure. Elite performance demands habit architecture, a system that automates discipline until choice is removed from the equation. Controlled hardship acts as stress inoculation, lowering threat reactivity in the nervous system. Through endless repetition, the mind rewires its internal reward system, shifting dopamine release from the final victory to the immediate strain of the work itself. Discomfort ceases to be a signal to stop. It becomes clean, objective training data. 12 yards from the goal, a soccer kicker stands frozen. Before the foot even strikes the ball, the biology of failure is visible. Under intense anxiety, a player's gaze drifts from the open corners, locked on the goalkeeper's torso, a primal threat monitoring reflex that overrides years of muscle memory. Blink rates spike, and breathing turns shallow. This irregular rhythm disrupts visual motor coupling, signaling a breakdown in motor control before the shot is taken. On a tennis court, a championship serve under match point triggers a massive autonomic surge. Heart rate breaches 170 beats per minute. Yet the elite mind separates itself. Instead of collapsing into panic, the brain narrows its focus, filtering out the arena. A slight drop in serve velocity is not a failure, but an adaptive defense, trading raw power for kinematic consistency. In the boardroom, a chief executive steps to the microphone for an earnings call. To protect attention from market volatility, the CEO deploys ritual micro-routines. Speech tempo accelerates by 8 words per minute, and vocal pitch flattens. These calculated vocal patterns shield cognitive reserve from external panic. Across a wooden board, a chess grandmaster enters a brutal endgame under a ticking clock. Frontal theta band activity spikes. This is sensory gating used as a high-stakes weapon. The player blocks out the room, chunking complex pieces into single, instantly recognizable macrostructures. One false pattern match means instant defeat. Playoff day archives capture these micro-behaviors in real time. We watch the locked gaze, the irregular breath, the protective rituals. Yet, identifying these physical patterns leaves the true mechanism of attention compression unresolved. In late 2003, at the lowest point of his personal and professional life, Kobe Bryant began working with performance advisor Todd Herman. The immense weight of public hostility and legal crises had crippled his ability to perform. Rather than modifying his physical routine, they focused on a systematic redesign of his self-schema. Together, they mapped out a psychological construct that would completely rebuild his mind from the ground up. The result of this collaboration was the Black Mamba. Inspired by the lethal, cold-blooded assassin in the film Kill Bill, this persona was designed strictly as a clinical cognitive firewall, entirely separate from any commercial brand. Bryant studied the absolute stillness and explosive precision of the predatory snake, deliberately adopting its traits to enforce rigid boundaries within his own psychology. By stepping into this alter ego, Bryant achieved absolute emotional compartmentalization. Off the court, he remained a vulnerable human being facing severe distress. On the court, he became an emotionless executioner, completely insulated from the noise of the arena. The persona functioned as an active circuit breaker, stripping away doubt and panic. This was the first real answer to how the elite mind survives overwhelming pressure, the shift from trying to achieve a standard to simply embodying it. Bryant did not play the game. The Black Mamba did. When the lights went up, the human stepped aside, and the mask took over. The mask was never meant to be temporary. Teammate Derek Fisher witnessed the transformation freeze into place, observing that Bryant had already programmed himself to want to be one of the greatest to ever touch a basketball. But programming a machine requires clearing out the human clutter. Ordinary comfort became entirely incompatible with this new architecture. The legendary fracture with Shaquille O'Neal was not a simple clash of egos, but the predictable friction of a mind that refused to tolerate anything less than its own impossible standards. Relational wreckage was the cost of doing business. Even devastating failures within this system only hardened the casing. The brutal 2008 finals loss to the Boston Celtics did not shatter the program. It forced it to mature, turning a solitary assassin into a colder, more calculated leader who demanded compliance from everyone around him. Excellence at this extreme demands a hostile trade. Running a system this precise requires systematically starving the need for connection, ease, and normal human peace. The champion does not find balance. They choose isolation. Raw motivation is a myth. The elite do not rely on a fluctuating emotional state to perform. They construct rigid identity filters that automate every decision. These filters strip away comfort, sameness, and self-protective softness, leaving only the execution of standards. Protection for these standards is found in ritualized small behaviors, unyielding, almost microscopic daily actions that guard against compromise. By merging the self entirely with this performance schema, self-worth becomes insulated. It no longer depends on any single victory or defeat. Yet, this total psychological fusion carries a dark ledger. The boundary between the persona and the human dissolves, inviting constant exhaustion and blurring ethical boundaries. The mechanism that guarantees survival under pressure is the exact same mechanism that quietly hollows out everything else. The question isn't whether you can survive the pressure, it's whether you're willing to destroy who you are to build someone who can. Greatness demands a trade, your comfort for total control. The darkness never fades. What are you willing to sacrifice? Share your thoughts below.